morning, afternoon, good night, everybody. Hopefully, everybody is doing amazing. Everybody is doing great. It's on another day, another Wednesday. That I want us to look onto this chat. What happened today? What did we learn today? Which mistakes did we do today? And get to rectify and see where we can improve. So, without any further ado, I would like us to get started. And from the chat, what you can see is we are on the daily time frame. Sorry for this. We're on the daily time frame, if you can see from my charts there. And I talked about this price action, and what I talked about the previous video is I didn't want to see price retrace into this fair value gap. But what happened today? We had CPI news and also FOMC news, right? You know, the news that we don't trade FOMC, we don't trade CPI, we don't trade NFP, right? But we had this fair value gap here, which was to me a breakaway gap. And yesterday, from yesterday's analysis, I only wanted to see a reaction of these fair value gap. This candle's low to this candle's high. We have also this fair value gap around the zone that was paired with this daily breaker block. So I wanted to see a reaction of this breaker block, but what happened, because we had CPI, which is a very volatile a news event, we had a push onto this daily fair value gap. So I was watching. I really didn't want to see price deliver that deep into this fair value area, which is marked by pink, and this green zone is the premium of this fair value area, and also the red zone is the discount area of this fair value area. So the midpoint is the equilibrium point. So I just wanted to distinguish at the premium and the discount areas of these fair value area. So what happened? I really didn't want to see a dig deeper into this fair value area, but because of CPI, which is a high volatile news event, we can maybe have a high probability of tapping or retracing in deeper to that fair value area. Then probably we'll see what will happen. And that's why, because of the high volatility of these CPI news, that's why it's recommended that we don't trade before the news, right? And what happened? During the news, we had a retracement higher, and this retracement higher, we can see we had an inversion fair value gap here, right? The market tapped into that inversion fair value gap after it has tapped already into the consequent encroachment of this daily fair value gap, as you can see that the area marked in gray. Then we had as a dig deeper into this inversion fair value gap. Why am I calling it an inversion fair value gap? Because we had this fair value gap that has already been traded into, respected, and again disrespected, right? So we had that deeper retracement into that fair value gap. Also, you can see we had that deeper into the consequent encroachment of these daily inversion fair value gap, which also was paired with the equilibrium point of this fair value area. So if you can see where we have the line distinguishing premium and discount of these fair value area, that is the equilibrium point. So we had a tap into that equilibrium point, then we retraced lower. Also, I noticed something that we had already retraced into the OTE level. So from the highest high to the lowest low, so this is the highest high point, this candle's high, to this lowest low. So I had my Fibonacci drawn there. Then we can see the market had already retraced into OTE levels. So from the OTE levels, then I was anticipating to see a drop lower. I didn't want to engage price before CPI, but since CPI posed as higher, then from these levels I was anticipating to see a drop, because generally I want to see the market gravitate to these previous daily lows as well as this previous monthly low. So with that price action, then I drop onto the 4-hour time frame, because the daily we have already tapped into our key levels. We have already seen price has already tapped into the OTE levels and also tapped into the equilibrium point of that fair value area, right? Then dropping into the 4-hour time frame, what I noticed is Inside the daily fair value gap, above the consequent encroachment of this daily fair value gap, we have this daily fair value gap as labeled onto the right. So we have that 4-hour fair value gap, which was tapped into before then, before the market tapped into that daily inversion fair value gap that is marked in orange. And we can see how the bodies were respecting these daily inversion fair value gap by the bodies closing below that daily inversion fair value gaps, but the wicks were doing the damage. So after seeing these, we are anticipating lower prices, and we have already tapped into that fair value daily fair value gap consequent encroachment. We have tapped into the 4-hour fair value gap, and also we have tapped into these daily inversion fair value gap. So I was also looking at the OTE levels, and I noticed something. From the highest high to the lowest low, right? From the highest high, which is this high, to the lowest low, which is this. Then, why didn't I use this high? Or why should I use this high instead of this high? So I noticed something. So instead of using this high, I use this high, and I'm going to explain the reason why I use this high. So from the highest high, which is this high, to this lowest low at around this level before this retracement higher, you can see using our Fibonacci tool, we can see we had already retraced into the OTE levels, meaning this price length has already been done with, because we have already retraced to premium, and also the OTE of this price, like from the highest high to the lowest low, which is this price, the low here. Because we are done with that highest high, then now we can opt to use these lows, as well as these high, to give us our OTE levels. So inside the 4-hour time frame, I noticed we had already tapped into this 0.705 level, and then we can see this rejection. Since we have already seen we are on inside OTE, news has driven us onto the OTE. Now I guess we can drop onto the 1-hour time frame and see what happened from them. So the same is has happened, or the same of explaining has I have been explaining is the same here, and I'll only add one new thing, and we had that reaction of these daily fair value gap, inversion fair value gap. Then we can see the drop lower. I'm anticipating to see a drop lower, and one thing I'm noticing is we have a formation of a sharp turn. And what do I mean by a sharp turn? A sharp turn is a fair value gap in to a key level, right? We have number one, a fair value gap in to the key level. Also, we have a fair value gap out of that key level. So for this instance, we have this daily inversion fair value gap as our key level, right? So we can see we have this fair value gap here, which is candle number 1, 2, 3. We have this fair value gap here, that is fair value gap number 1 into the key level. Then we have this fair value gap lower, candle number 1, 2, 3, which is a fair value gap of the key level. Now this is the sharp turn that I usually also use for my entries, and possibly will be looking for an entry of this fair value gap, then a drop lower. So inside the 15 minutes time frame, what happened today is I made a mistake of being trapped by the first fake move. And over here, what did I see? I saw these candles. I wasn't really keen of the first the price action, all right, of the first fake move. So I saw this candle form, this bearish candle. Let me make everything wider. So I saw this bearish form, this candle bearish form, which formed an engulfing candle. What do I mean by an engulfing candle? If I'm expecting a bear engulfing candle, I want to see the high of the previous candle being taken, and then the candle close below the opening and the closing price of that previous candle. So we saw this candle took this previous candle's high, then you can see it closed below that previous candles open and closing price. So I got trapped inside this price action here. I also didn't watch how price was reacting inside this 4-hour fair value gap. We really didn't tap that much into that fair value gap. Then what happened, we had that first retracement higher into that key level. Then we consolidated a time distortion because we had FOMC at around 2 p.m. What happened is at around 2 p.m. we had that tank lower after this time distortion, the consolidation or the ranging inside at around that key level. Then we had the 2 p.m. candle close heavily bearish. Then we formed that fair value gap. Then I think the perfect trade for the day would have been this entry at around this fair value gap, with my stops being above the high, being more conservative, because I need to be more conservative instead of more aggressive. And then with my stops with my target at a 1 to 2, and I guess my trade could have gone through, but it was a nice opportunity to remind me again of the first fake move, which I really didn't consider. So this was the trade I was to take, but I didn't take it. I was watching the GBP USD. The same analysis I did for EU is the same for GU, so there is no difference. I'll be adding only a few things. So inside my I've been journaling. I did my journal, and if you need, you can also rewatch my previous TikTok post. You can see all the journals that I've done, and please remember to like and follow this channel so that we may get to grow together. So I took the GBP trade, and why? Analyzing the Euro GBP, I noticed that the Euro was stronger, right? The Euro was stronger than the GBP, right? And if the Euro is stronger than the GBP, and I want to be shorting the Euro USD and the GBP USD, and since the GBP is weaker to the Euro, then I should be shorting at the GBP USD instead of the Euro USD. That's why I was trading Euro GBP USD, right? So what did I see? I saw this price action lower, this drop. I wanted to see, I wasn't keen with this first fake move, and so with this candle forming, let me enlarge on this. With this formation of this fair value gap, I saw this to be a breakaway gap. I really didn't want to see it tap into it. I did enter my trade inside this level. So first of all, I did make my mistake. I did make mistakes from the entry levels because I wasn't really I didn't consider any confluence from the 15 minutes time frame, because I set my rules that I will not be going below the 15 minutes time frame. So inside the 15 minutes, never formed any trade setup, but since I dropped into the lower time frame, I got that rush to enter into a trade, which was a big mistake. Repeated also, which is something to work on. I shouldn't be going below the 15 minutes time frame. So what happened? I did enter my trade of I don't know where, the five minutes probably there, with my stops above this breakaway gap. I thought it would be a breakaway gap, but what happened? Immediately I did enter my trade. We had that push higher, took me out. Then we had this time distortion. Then later on we can see the trade played out well, and these has been my journal. And if you want to read, you can pause and probably read it. And also something I noticed that I've not talked about is these EU SMT. And if we look at this 9:30 a.m. candle inside the Euro USD, we can see that 9:30 candle over here, the high was taken. So we have this 9:30 high. The high was taken by these highs over here, but for the GBP, we can see the high was intact. So that's what I saw for the SMT, the first fake move. If I could have been patient, probably I could have also missed this trade, because it is of my trading time window, but above, if I could have been patient enough, or probably I could have entered my trade at around this level with my stops being above at that high, so targeting a 1 to 2, which probably could have been hit with 3 candles, and then I'd be celebrating. But it was a nice opportunity, because I'm already celebrating, because it's another opportunity that we are getting these lessons. So thank you for watching this video. Hopefully you'll get a lot more of insights, and also uh, we will improve and get better all day, every day, with the commitment that is required, and the energy required. We'll get there brick by brick. We'll build our empire together. So thank you for being around. Remember to like and subscribe to this channel, and probably I'll be seeing you tomorrow. So until next time, guys, be safe, blessed by the best.